And I want to start off the first slide with something to do with my kids as well. I was attending the art class with my kids virtually, by the way. And then the theme was the future. It was a very interesting theme. It got us and got me thinking, oh, how do I envision the future? But when I look around me, I got to say, hey, the future is now. Just look at the automotive industry. Years ago, you never imagined flying cars like Back to the Future, but it's here. In Singapore, we are setting up a Hyundai Motor Group, and it's all autonomous. Right? There's this almost lights-off factory where you can see how your cars are built. You can customize how your cars are built, very, very much like Tesla. So how do they do that? Obviously, it's all to do with data. They have all the data on hand, and you can customize to how you will like it. All right. And of course, as the sentence over here mentions, the facility will employ various and advanced manufacturing and logistics systems, including AI, IoT, and different kinds of robotics. Another thing that struck me, and it has to do with everyday life. I'm in lockdown. I think you guys are as well. So what's the thing that we use most? We use online. We do a lot of online shopping. My wife does a lot of online shopping. I do a lot of online shopping. And Amazon is one of the key areas, one of the platforms we use a lot of. And how does Amazon work? They have thousands, hundreds of thousands of robots working in its warehouses, right? You can look on YouTube and look at how their warehouses work. It's amazing. The concept is so simple as well. There's YouTube videos that tell you how to implement it, how they adopt it. So it's everywhere we go now, there are robots, there are autonomous cars, and it's all around us. Last but not least is our governments around us are also automating smart cities, right? Malaysia is also doing it in the sanitization department, if I'm not mistaken. So in the chat, I have shared a link where you can, which I'm going to show you right now. Just a quick example. I did this on the fly, so just wanted to do a quick example to show you. If you can see my screen, I guess you guys can. Right, look, this is the link that is inside I put it into the chat. It's amazing. This is where citizens can monitor the health, the weather, the PM particles where haze is around, for example. And this is the map. All right, and then you can screenshot, like for example, I chose schools over here. You can choose a particular school and you can zoom in the different areas. You can see the map moving. You can select the date range of the data that you want. And this is what Dr. Chua talked about in terms of data, in terms of automation. It all starts from the beginning. This is really the high level and where the end users come into play. And this does a lot of helps a lot of real-time reporting as well. All right, go ahead. I'm not going to talk so much about it. You can play with it at your own free time. And this is powered by Microsoft BI, which is I'll talk about little later as well. Okay, now back to the slides. Okay, so now it all starts with a vision and a destination. That's very important. When you automate, you have to have the end goal in mind. All right, and a vision, which is the management, and the destination, where you want to bring the company to. I work in many MNCs, right? And I know the KPIs from top to bottom, right? Every time we do a project, it's always about KPIs. What are you going to bring to the table? How does automation help me? Here are some common KPIs, 4 to be exact, and some of the most common technological use out there in the market. Okay, I'm putting all the examples that everybody can relate to. Look at this tennis ball over here. Everybody watches, I think a lot of people watch sports. This is using vision systems over here. And in a very fanciful term in the market, the company called a Hawkeye system. I think the Euro 2020 is happening. I think everybody watches it, and they employ goal line technology that use a Hawkeye system, and that is a vision system. It makes umpires and referees makes better informed decisions, and that means your quality, the products you send out, you know that it is of good quality that you send out, right? No matter what product that you use. And where can you use it? There's so many areas you can use it. Production, material handling. Nobody got fired, by the way, right? I mean, if you look at the World Cup, there's still a referee and 2 linesmen running down the slides, right? So The staff we still retain, they are just being trained to handle the quality a little bit better. So upscaling, right? The skill set, that's what I'm trying to say over here. Next, all right, as I mentioned, lockdown. Okay, everybody uses food apps, right? In Singapore, that's where I am, that's across the causeway. We have to order food through our apps as well. We can't go anywhere. I imagine Malaysia distance is a bit longer, so they have to go through apps as well, perhaps. So everybody is forced to adopt a technology over here. And what are these technologies? RFID and barcodes. Okay, how many of us order things online and they send to right to your doorstep? And what do they do to certify that it has been delivered and where it is? Is all using RFID and barcodes. So it improves the service levels and it deliver, for example, your company says, I can deliver within a day. And I promise you, I can deliver within a day. Bam, there we go. You can track the logistics from the start all the way to the end. And how do they do that? RFID, barcodes, and all of us use perhaps DHL. That is the most classic example. You can go to the track, you can track every step of the way where it is, or if you use Food Panda and Grab, you can see where all your location of your parcel or your service is. Okay. Capacity. A lot of people ask me, hey Gerard, I want to automate, okay, but I have limited footprint because rental is so expensive, especially in Singapore. Well, capacity is a crux, but that we can solve it as well. We can automate, and this is Amazon warehouse where you can see, by the way, the rows of racks are packed back to back. Okay, so they expand their capacity, they explode their capacity 2 times within the same footprint. Keyword over here, that's their KPI. Okay, some people are more, of course, ambitious. I want 3 or 4 times. That's up to you. If you have the height, of course, right? There's many ways you can go around doing that. And how do they do that? As I mentioned at the start, have a look at how Amazon does it on YouTube. It's a very quick video. All right, they use robots and sensors. And in Malaysia, I think the robots company's name is called DF Automation. They do a lot of automating of robots as well. So there are many robot companies they can approach out there as well to help you out, to partner with you if you do not know. Okay, or you can approach Pepper and Folks, and Pepper and Folks can recommend you guys the same some vendors that you can approach to. And what you can improve in terms of capacity, of course, production and your warehousing. Last but not least, management. A lot of people tell me, hey Gerard, I would like to reduce my costs by cutting labor. But I share with, a lot of times I share with the management, that is not really true. If you cut your costs, it's not really true labor. You have to do all the things in front and you can improve it through business intelligence. Why do I say that? Where, if you think about it, where do you spend most of your time in office? You spend it in meetings, right? And in a meeting, perhaps you have 8 other executives in that same meeting. And in that meeting, you perhaps ask for updates, right? Where dashboards, where I show you the Perth example earlier, you can pull it out without calling everybody into the meeting. And you can save costs through avoidance of meetings, avoidance of emails and such things. So your productivity in effect is raised, it's domino effect. Of course, it takes time, it's a step by step. All right, and this is done, by the way, through OPCUA, which is something that Dr. Chua talk about later, which I'll talk about later as well. So there are key standard reporting tools out there you can leverage on as well. And here are some of them. It's Microsoft Power BI and of course Tableau. And this covered the entire factory, right? You can put television screens across your factory and everybody can see where they are, where their KPIs are on the shop floor, right? So that's a dashboard for everybody. And that's how you cut costs, right? So think about it. Okay, and when you think about it, you realize that, as Dr. Chua mentioned earlier, data is at the heart of the matter. Why do I say that? Okay, this is, I'm giving you a roadmap on how Pepper and Folks envision Industrial 4.0. We give it a very fanciful name. We call it Sensoric 4.0. I won't emphasize too much because Dr. Chua has already covered most of the points, but it really starts with selecting the right products. Do not worry, there are many people out there that can guide you and handhold you to select the right products, and we can work together and partner together to get to your end goal, which, what I said earlier, is your destination. Once you have your vision and your destination, we can get there so much easier. So it really starts with the smart products and smart sensors. Sensors and data and products that can give you data with a snap of a finger without you having to compute, right? Maybe, like do speed calculation, where you get to enter a formula. No, something that is already on the fly. They can give you the data. That's at a snap of finger, quick and easy. And with all these data, sensors, and products, and that's where the magic happens. And that's where you can put all these into processes. All right. And everybody wants to automate your processes, wants to make sure that for example, your logistics, you want to make sure the truck guys who are trucking your products are staying only so little, only staying a right amount of time in your warehouse, so the goods are immediately loaded into the trucks and off it goes. It spends minimal time in the canteen or wherever, right? So all these are automating of processes, and processes are often and not the most challenging because there's cross department and there's cross level in terms from your ordinary worker to all the way to upper management. So there are many ways to cut the pie, but once you have data, you can cut the pie appropriately as you wish to. Now, scalability, I would like to talk in particular, there are many technologies out there, but I would like to talk in particular this technology called IO-Link. It all started about 20 years ago. Sorry, let me count, 15 years ago, right? By tens of companies. Pepper and Folks is one of the founding members. And how can you tell? Because you can tell when you load the program or load the device, it'll tell you our vendor ID is number one because Pepper Folks is the pioneer in that. All right, which I won't show you today. When it comes to the time, we'll show it to you appropriately. And it really cuts to the different levels. I love this picture because it shows you the different levels and how it works. As I mentioned, get the smart data in by buying the right products. Here you have RFID, you have optical sensors, you have light grids, you have valves, you have motors, you have many others that are over here. And all of them, if you want to, how do I know whether these products have IO-Link? Just ask your vendor, and you usually have this symbol on it, or it'll be articulated in the manual and the data sheet, whatever not. All right. And IO-Link is something that I love because it can go all the way from the sensor level all the way to the cloud. All right. So you can control all these via one master, right? When you can plug all this, and it's really a plug and play. I wish I have the time to demonstrate to you, but it's easy, all right? It's a no-brainer. It doesn't need a plug and play. The technicians love it. The engineering assistants love it because it's so simple to program. The learning curve is not very steep at all, all right? And as you can see, the architecture here is simple. It can, if you want to utilize your PLC in your PC, it is easy peasy. You can see that you can do it over here. If you have a HMI as well, no problem. We can connect it via a switch. And last but not least, and say, Gerard, I would like to go straight to the cloud. I don't really want PLCs. I'm upgrading all the way. No problem as well. We can go all the way to the cloud. As you can see over here, there's Microsoft Azure, there's Amazon AWS, and SCADA servers, so many possibilities. And the beauty of this is there is a multi-link capability. This multi-link capability enhances and enables, the keywords enables companies who are still using PLC and will love the transition to the cloud because it can, our IO-Link master is able to simultaneously transmit data to the PLC and to the cloud. So hence, you do not have to have a hard cut, right? In between, when you run the row technology, you can plan it in a soft row, in other words. And this is very good for whoever is planning out there, who is, or the automation guys or the network guys who are doing the planning. It buys them time to migrate to where they want to go. And with this, and this is great because it's the technology used is independent from the platform used. So regardless, I'm using Linux, I'm using a Linux from my iPC, or I'm using Windows from my PC, doesn't matter, we still can do it. And does it have to be all from the same vendor? Because of course we love to cover all areas. Every vendor would love to cover all areas, but sometimes it is just not possible. And IO-Link is really friendly. All right, it's like a United Nations coming together and coming for a common good over here. So that's what they do. They say that it doesn't matter if your vendor is ABC, I can support you as long as it's IO-Link. All right, and there we go. That's a promise from these consortium that is driving IO-Link as a technology. OPCUA and MQTT is really independent of your programming environment. Notice the word I'm using the word independent as well, because that gives everybody leverage. It is open source. That is meant, you can just Google it, the different programming methods. You can use C++, Java, .NET. If you have a system engineer, it's easy for you. You just program it whatever you need to, extract the information. I'm not a system engineer. Sorry to say, but my system engineers, they did it within a week, right? To implement whatever they need to do. Of course, the scope matters, depending on how big your scope is. Last but not least, I think the word scalable has been mentioned a lot of times. So this can really be a platform to build your different programs, your different ideology on it. And there are many predefined APIs and development kits out there to help you out, to scale it to whichever way that you want to. Now let's look at some example. All right, we have many customers coming to us in Pepper & Fuchs and other companies as well, who are in the midst of transiting or who wish to transit over here. Here, there's a CNC machine, and they are using non-IO-Link spindles. And of course, if anybody who uses a CNC machine, and you'll know that some of the machinery parts are hard to reach or are in dangerous positions, and they will not like to go there unnecessarily unless they really have to. So what happens is that they have minimal access to diagnostic information, and they really want to know when it breaks down, because as they mentioned, they want to do preventive maintenance, because ultimately IO-Link is able to provide you with all the service data and all the events that you can tell the technicians, hey, look, I have maybe 4 hours left of life cycle in my in this equipment. So hence, it's time to be replaced. The technician, upon looking at this, they say, oh yeah, that's true. Let's replace it before breakdown, and that saves you a lot of downtime, unnecessary downtime or changeover. So as I mentioned, the challenge here was they wanted to have a spindle that could communicate necessary data and diagnostic. Pepper & Fuchs is not in the business of building IO-Link spindle. So this is a very classic example of a product of IO-Link spindle that is not from Pepper & Fuchs, but yet still can be integrated into our IO-Link master. So we package it to our Modbus TCP messages. So Modbus is quite an old protocol. So we understand that, and we made it available for everybody to communicate, and we're able to send it to the customer's control system after that. And what benefits does it bring? You can free up all the trap data. Imagine, it can tell you the temperature, it can tell you the vibration, and all these data is a domino effect, can give you a sense of when it's going to break down. It can enable you to do all the predictive maintenance with all these insights, to valuable insights. So this is one classic example of a company that would like to transit from a non-IO-Link to an IO-Link capability and to utilize the data. Next is a company that has something more. They want to do more than just using the PLCs, and they want to use, now in this case, they want to use the clouds. Now, this is a very famous company that has a fully equipped automated warehouse, and they would like to use external third-party broker to send information to. Now, whoever uses the internet know we have this thing called firewall. I think a very famous example is the firewall of China. In China, you can't use Google and you can't use YouTube because the firewall blocks you out. And in our countries, Malaysia, Singapore, doesn't matter where we are, we too have this firewall. So imagine, right? If I'm ordering Amazon parcel, for example, if all these firewalls brought this information out, we won't be able to track our parcels. So what was the way around that? We have a third-party broker where our data is sent from our IO-Link device over here. It sends to the broker, and then you can pull this information as long as it's subscribed. So it's a publish and subscribe information. The keyword over here is unsolicited or solicited. For firewalls, they block out all unsolicited data. So in case there's virus, you won't be attacked, or it blocks out all the spam. But if you subscribe, you purposely subscribe or solicit the data, then yes, the data will come to you. And that's how MQTT works. And that's how companies get to reap the benefit of, sorry, in case it's a bit noisy in the background, I stay next to the airport. So the airplanes are flying. Yeah, it's military aircrafts, in case you're wondering. Yeah. So, yeah, okay, the aircraft has passed. Okay, so they can script, they can get all these data and reap the benefits of this. So now, for management who wants to see what's happening in the factory worldwide, or they can do so, of course, via the phone. And this is a very good benefit, and it's through the clouds. Right, so this I'm showing you two very contrasting ways of managing data, and whether how do you want to load the data, whether it's intranet, internet, or through the PLC. So there are many ways you can do around that. Now, sorry. So from Pepper and Fuchs, we have all the depth and breadth of our IO-Link sensors. You can see over there, we have inductive sensors, we have photoelectric sensors, we have ultrasonic sensors. It's really a holistic, and it can really covers all the ranges. So if you have time, speak with us first, and then you can see how we can help you out over here. All right, and these slides over here shows you all the architecture, which I'm sure Dr. Chua has touched on earlier. And I really love the way that it was articulated earlier: modular, compatible, flexible, and scalable. I thought that was a very great takeaway, key points I took from the last presentation. And I will say that with these products, you can achieve it. All right. And with that, I will hand it back to Kenneth, unless there's anybody that has any questions on the floor. Thank you.